Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me in another of my wonderful interviews. Are you somebody who wants to get out there and affect change? You somebody who's itching to sort of make something happen, shake these MPs up to do what they want, or actually go and run as an MP yourself? Well, my guest today is doing a bit of that himself. We are going to be talking to Damon Sharp, who's running for an MP in Blackpool South for non-poll, and he's also the founder of the British Lions for Freedom, and he joins me now. Hello, Damon.
Hi, Richard. Thank you for having me on. Really
It's a pl-
appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Now, I've been meaning to have the British Lions for Freedom on for some time. There's so many wonderful organisations out there doing amazing things, and there's never enough hours in the day to get everybody on. But here we are. You've
Yeah.
been doing some amazing work,
Thank you,
um,
mate.
getting people to, well, like we're all trying to, in our own different ways, to get people to think, if anything else, about the situation, to push back against tyranny, to push back against some of these weird anti-human policies that are coming down and question everything. So I thought it would be interesting. I know you're running for an MP, and we'll get onto that a little later. But maybe you could tell us a bit about the idea behind the British Lions for Freedom, and what the sort of the history of it, and what you've been doing, just for those
Yeah,
that haven't heard of you.
yeah, sure. I'll try and be brief with it and bullet points. So, before March of 2020, before COVID, or the pandemic, as I'd call it, um, obviously COVID, this whole thing changed me a lot. So, the first protest I attended was August, September of 2020 in Trafalgar Square. And then I formed British Lions for Freedom in May of 21. I'd already planned to. I saw the way forward initially was community outreach, leafleting, us getting out on the streets and things. I saw that maybe coming towards the end of 2020. So I formed British Lions for Freedom in May of 21, and we've been going since then. The reason why I did that primarily was I wanted to build a team, and I wanted to build sort of a team principle. That's the reason for the branding. Because the thing is, it's not really. I don't want it all to be about me. I am the founder, but the thing is, I've always tried to push. It's always been BLFF, not me. So the idea is that anybody that comes in, we all get to share in the success, but we also, we're a team, so we also need to share in the responsibility as well. And I'd say that obviously being the founder, like my job is very difficult because I've got to organize and I've got to drive it forward. So, but that's the principle behind it. Also, the branding works as well. Just try and make us look as professional as possible with the general
Mm.
public and stuff like that. So, and we've just gone. So, I started out when I started, going out on the streets doing outreach. I just had a shoulder bag, some leaflets. Started out me and Dazza Hopkins. I'm not sure if you know him. You might do. And then we've just progressed from there. The thing is, Richard, I was 20 years as a bodybuilder, so I've got this kind of mentality, this kind of mindset. I'm very OCD, I'm very driven, and I'm never satisfied. And I think that's helped me a lot in this last few years. And also as well, I'm very stubborn, and I don't mean that in a bad way where
Yeah.
I can hold my hands up and accept when I'm wrong. What I mean by that is that it's very hard to break me. I might have moments when I'm low and when I'm down, and there's been some really low times in the last 4 years. But I think it's just through pure stubbornness and pride more than anything that's kept me going. So, and I've learned a lot of the qualities that I've needed in the last 4 years. I learned that through 20 years of bodybuilding. So, with BLFF, I've always tried to, progress and evolve and us get bigger and better. And and even organizing events and stuff. I'm not an events manager. I'm not an organizer. So it's a learning curve, and it's been a
Yeah.
very pain. It's a very been a very painful one because there's nobody that's harder on me than myself. So when we do events and it doesn't go well and mistakes happen, some of them mine, some of them the team, some of them are just circumstances that you can't legislate for when you have no experience. But
Exactly. Yeah.
but the thing is I'm very hard on myself, and I go away from events and I crash, and people go away from our events and they say they had a great day and stuff. So that's basically British Lines for Freedom. It's just evolved.
And
Um,
what do your events? What do they consist of? What sort of things do you do?
Well, at the moment, I mean, we've got an event coming up in just under a couple of weeks' time on in April in Leicester on April 27th. So it's the first event of this year, which is an extension of the Rebellion tour that we did last year. Now, last year we did four of them. We did Birmingham on April 15th, we did Bradford on May 13th, we did Glasgow July 29th, and we did York on October Halloween weekend. I can't remember the exact date for that one. So it's an extension of that. So the Rebellion tour for me, the year before we started to go out and do events with gazebos and banners and things. The Rebellion tour was, I'd say, a level above that. Initially, like I said, I just had a shoulder bag, so it's just a progression. So this year, like I said, yeah. So on the 27th of April, we're going to be in Leicester. This is a joint event, though. It's with the Tribe of Leicestershire. And that's the thing I do want to make this point is even though I've created our brand, our team, and things like that, I see some people out there, they want to monopolize everything. I think that comes down to ego. I'm not really about that. What I want to do is I want to work with other people, with other individuals, and with other groups and teams. As long as they're decent people and they're professional and things like that. I don't want to work with people that are counterproductive and stuff like that. There's some people out there that are actually problematic. So this is kind of how I view it. Is I think we're stronger together. So I'm really excited about this event because I've come to know. I have to give a shout out to Merv. Merv, I'd describe him as the general of the Tribe of Leicestershire. He kind of founded it. And I've got a lot of respect for him. Working with him, I came to know him, and then I proposed maybe we should do an event together. So it's come to the point where I am going to be working with him on that. Obviously, Simon as well, who puts events on. He's part of Tribe of Leicestershire. So it's been an absolute privilege to work with them, and I do have to give a shout out to Merv because Merv is kind of like the go-to guy for me, and I've got to give him a lot of credit. He's 70 years old.
Wow.
He's created the Tribe of Leicestershire, and it's funny because the first time I ever went down to Leicester to support them was when Andrew Bridgen was there last year, and I just looked at Merv and I watched him, and I just thought this guy's like just an older version of me. He was so intense and so OCD, and he was extremely stressed out to the point where he was pouring with sweat, but I respect that. So
Yeah.
I'm really delighted that we can do this event together, and I can work with him. And I have to say, it's been a pleasure working with him so far. We're getting on very well, and we're doing our best to really make this event in 2 weeks' time like a big event. But we're trying to bring something different all the time. We're trying to obviously create and bring something different because it's very difficult to get people out. So at the
So
minute,
what sort of things would people expect at this event coming up?
So, I mean, if people have been familiar with like the Rebellion tour last year, the sort of things we've done, we ran an emergency broadcast system in Birmingham train station on April 15th. If people have seen it, they'll know what it is. If not, it'll take me a long time to explain it. But
Right.
we're always trying to capture the attention and the imagination of the public, and we also try and provide a show as well. So the thing is like, look at the last 4 years we've had. I'd say obviously 2021 we had the biggest numbers out on the streets. It's very difficult to get people out now. So what I try and do is I try and create a day of entertainment. I try and create a bit of a show. Make it as fun as possible, make it as entertaining as possible. Also, is not losing focus on one of the main priorities. One of the main goals is to reach the public. So we reach the public with the street theatre, which is what I class it as now, with the show, and with all of that. But also as well is I also focus on the basics, which is distribution of information. How many leaflets have we handed out that day? How many good conversations have we had? How many light papers have we put out? So it's not just about, as some people say, oh, protests don't do anything. You're just walking around, dancing in the streets and shouting at buildings. It's not about that. There are many positives to these things, and this isn't the be all and end all. A protest I don't even class them as protests anymore. I class them as community events.
Mm.
and they are valuable and they do serve a purpose. They're not the be all and end all. They're not going to win us this thing overnight, but they are valuable as is so many other things that other people are doing. It just
Mm.
so happens that I love to do this, and they are very difficult to do, Richard. I mean, the thing with me is I put so much into these events. I deliberately leave a 3 month gap between them because first of all, I've got to create it in my mind, and then I've got to put it all into practice. It's very, very difficult. So we do go to great lengths. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of energy. And it's a lot of cost as well to try and put on a show for people. So, you know, we want people to come and have a good time. And the good thing is people have come to previous events on the Rebellion tour, and they've walked away. And the feedback overwhelmingly has been positive. People have said what a great day they had. So if nothing else, we want people to come and just have a good day, something
Yeah.
that will live long in the memory. But we're not just focused on that. We also want to be productive. But the good thing is that for various reasons, be it through inexperience, be it through lack of preparation and lots of turmoil within the team and with certain team members and stuff, I would go away from our events and I just crash. And there's people on suicide watch around me for like 5, 6 days.
Oh
And I just,
golly.
no, I mean, I'm being a bit dramatic, but I do
Right.
crash. I go into like a deep state of depression because
Yeah.
because I'm like I said, it's my mindset. Being a bodybuilder for 20 years, I'm very OCD, and there's nobody harder on me than me, and
Mm.
I don't like things to be not. I'm kind of like a perfectionist, and I realize that we're not going to ever. You might not hit perfection, but let's aim for it. I always say, like, if you aim for the stars, you might reach the sky. So on our events, people go away and they're happy and they say, what a great day it was. I go away and I just tear it to pieces. But that's my job. It's not my
Right.
job. It's not my
Yes.
job to go away and pat myself on the back and say, well done, Damon, you're amazing. It's my job to go and be very critical of myself, where I went wrong, where the team can improve and things like that. So
Yeah.
if people have gone away from previous events, and the feedback's been so good, I would honestly say that this event in Leicester, at the moment, as one of the organisers, I feel like we're on course to produce the best event yet by a long way. And we've got some amazing speakers as well. We've got a really good lineup,
Oh,
as well as
fantastic.
all the choreography and the street theatre and everything else that we're going to try and bring on the day.
And you said earlier that not so many people are attending these sort of events. It's hard to get people out. Why do you suppose that is?
Different reasons. Everybody's got their own reason. I'd say if you look at the psychology, I'd say that fatigue is one thing, demoralization, burnout. Um,
Do you think people are not seeing enough turnaround of people's minds to, our way of thinking, as it were?
no, I think people believe that's the case,
Right.
but the people I find this and I see it. The thing with people that say that, like for example, you might get comments on social media saying, "Oh, it's used," no, stop trying to wake people up I've got to say, this is the thing is, from my experience, and I'm talking from someone that's out constantly on the streets. Our British Fans for Freedom MO is community outreach.
Mm.
So we're always out on the streets. We're always speaking to people, and I can guarantee you, from my experience, which is first-hand experience on the streets, is that the world is waking up, mate. The only people that don't the only people that don't like engage with us now are the people that don't want to know. We don't get any abuse. I'd say people just walk by because that's the way they are. They don't want to
Yes.
know.
Yes.
But yeah, honestly, it's very positive when you actually get out there. I think the problem is sometimes is people, they're becoming demoralized. Now, this is the point with let's say the enemy that we're facing. They want us divided. They want us demoralized. They want us to believe that they're so powerful that there's nothing we can do, and there are
Mm.
things that we can do. So no, I wouldn't say. I'd say there's many reasons for it. I think obviously people. I mean, we're not going to get an overnight fix to this problem because of the magnitude of what we're facing.
Mm.
This could take 10, 15, 20 years. And I'm sorry, but that's the reality of the situation. And that's why I prepare myself that way mentally, is that, I'm not expecting an overnight solution. And look, let's face it, we heard people throughout this last 4 years. We've heard people suggest and talk about many things, storming Parliament and stuff like that. Not that I'm not condoning it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that's what's been said. But let's
Mm.
face it, it's not a realistic solution. So, and we'll, I'll assume we'll get onto that in a bit with regards to me running
Yes.
as a candidate for MP. I'm interested in solutions. I'm interested in. I want positivity around me. I want energy. I want solutions and things like that. So
The
yeah,
more that I mean, we're seeing a lot of people being squeezed left, right, and centre now, and it just seems to be building, 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 building,
mm,
so that people are, if they're not waking up to what the reason behind it is, they're feeling the pressure,
yeah,
and so at least they must be then open to ideas. Go, hang on, why am I
yeah.
feeling this way? And they don't necessarily need to know the deep state agenda. They just might go, how do I get out of this pressure? I want a nice life for my family and everything seems so anti-bloody human.
Yeah, yeah, you make a good point because I mean, this is the thing now is, for me, we've got to kind of approach this like a game of chess.
Mm.
I think some people, like I said, they want the overnight fix. Obviously we're all struggling. God, like my last 4 years have been hell. I mean, like publicly, I project like really honestly, like I'm a human being. I struggle too. Yeah, definitely, I'd say that people are looking for an overnight fix. I don't think this is going to be done overnight simply because of the magnitude of what we're trying to do. It's
Yeah.
all down to what you want to achieve. Now, for example, you talked about why the numbers have dropped off. Some people might just want to. Some people, like when we had all of those numbers out in 2021, some of those people might have just wanted to go back on holiday. So then they fall away and things like that.
Yes.
Now I've always aimed big. And for me, I want to change this world. I mean, that sounds like I can't do it on my own. But what we
No,
need
no.
is we need a shift in attitude. We need a shift in consciousness and things like that.
Mm.
So so like we're always reaction based. Everything that we do is reaction based. Oh, they've done this, so now we have to. Well, let's start to think about solutions. Let's start to get ahead of the game, and let's
Yes.
start let's start to see how we actually realistically gonna change this world. You know, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And until we remove the problem, which is people with too much money and power and people that have been corrupted or weak people that are just cowards, that just toe the line. Until we start to remove these people and put decent people in their place, the world will always, history will always repeat itself. And even if we fix this here and now, the generation or the next generation down the line are going to have to go through the same turmoil we do. This planet needs a complete shift. It
And
needs
it
to.
does feel like this is the moment.
It,
This isn't people are doing this one way or another.
yeah.
We're saying enough is enough, and we're going to change this.
If
And obviously you and the British Lions for Freedom and all the other people who are doing similar things all over the place in different types of way. There's no other time like this.
yeah,
Not in my lifetime. Put it like that.
yeah,
And I think this is such an interesting period because of all those pressures. It's
mm,
a pressure cooker it's going to blow. But as you say, it's not going to just blow up overnight. It's going to be this long-term fix,
yeah.
which is really interesting. So tell us about the running for MP. Have you ever, in the past, did you ever think that that would be something that you would do?
No, no. If you'd have told me this 4 years ago, I would have said you're mental.
Right.
So, I mean, speaking like regards to you asked me before about the history of BLFF. I mean, so on a personal level, 4 years ago, well, before the pandemic, before World War C or World War COVID, as I call it, um, I had a good life. Like I said, I'd done 20 years in bodybuilding. I was 30 years a Manchester United fan. I don't watch football anymore because I just can't support it or respect it. You've got obviously people like Matt Letitia who are the, you know, the you know,
The
the,
exception.
the exception, yeah, but I don't respect football. I just can't watch that anymore. Um, I had a good life, mate. I was going over to America. I wanted to, buy another property and spend time there. So, if you'd have told me 4 years ago I'd be in this position now, I'd have said you're insane. And I've
Mm.
changed a lot in the last four. I've become, I've let go of all my dreams and and hopes, and I wouldn't say materialistic. I was never materialistic, but I was always focused on what made me happy and stuff like that. So so it's been a real process, and it's been a painful one, but I'm still here, and and I feel at the moment I'm as strong as I have been in the last 4 years because I've let everything go. So with the political thing, no, I never ever dreamed of doing this. But the thing, but
Do
I'm
you find? Sorry to interrupt.
no, sorry.
You were saying that you had all your dreams and what have you, but do you find now with the work that you're doing, the reward
Yeah,
is
yeah,
no longer just about you. It's a much bigger thing that we're all part of, and somehow that's it is a very strange. It's kind of an oxymoron, really, because we're in this terrible thing, but actually we all seem to everybody I meet who is fighting back and pushing away is going, this is so rewarding, because
yeah.
before it was just about me and what I wanted in life, but now I'm sharing what I want and my abilities, and I'm learning for the greater good.
Yeah, and yeah, definitely. And I feel like yeah, I mean, I'd say like I said before, it was very much, my focus was on me. I mean, I've turned myself upside down. And I'd say this again, this comes down to psychology. I understand that people might be exhausted, they might be burnt out, they might be demoralized, they might be really, really low. And I
Mm.
understand that. I've been there myself. But the thing is like it's how you look at it. I look at it as a privilege as well.
Yes.
I mean, what a privilege it is. And I'm not just and like I said, I go in the gym, like when I do get chance to go back to the gym now,
Yes.
which is not often because I'm so busy, but I go back there just for my own state, just for my own mental health now and things like that. But when I go in there and I see that superficial nature of it, and that used to be me and stuff like that, and that's not to run anybody down that does the sport. I did it for 20 years, and I understand why you do it and what it gives you. But yeah, definitely it is rewarding. This last 4 years with everything that I've done with BLFF, honestly, 20 years in bodybuilding, Richard, I didn't think there'd be anything that more difficult in my life that I'd have to do.
Yes.
But this is by far the most difficult thing. Managing so many people when they're all like at breaking point, and trying to build a team, lose a team, build a second team, lose them, build another one, keep going, keep going. Take the abuse from the people around you that should actually be supporting you.
Yes.
But like I said, I'm very stubborn, and yeah, and you're absolutely right. You hit the nail on the head. It's just when I look back, when we look back, at the end of our lives, or like, well, what have we done? What purpose have we served? And I am spiritual. I do believe that there is something beyond this. I believe that there's a purpose to all this. So am I going to just spend it serving myself? COVID actually, COVID actually made me a better person. That I
Mm.
say COVID. I'm not saying
The
the
situation itself. Yeah.
situation of
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the thing is, and I mean, we're facing the government. We're facing this corrupt establishment.
Mm.
I don't care about them, to be honest. I don't. I see them as nothing. I
Mm.
see them as nothing, providing that our biggest problem is working as a cohesive unit together. There's 99% of us and there's 1% of them. The problem is that we're all divided.
We are.
We're divided, and we live in fear. And even people in the freedom movement, they're afraid. And
Mm.
all of the stuff that's put out on social media, it's a lot of it are looking at us. Is this even true? It's all about making us, demoralizing us, making us feel like there's no point, that they're so powerful. They don't. I don't care about the government. I don't care about the
Mm.
establishment. They're nothing to me. I see them
But
as
it
nothing. The biggest problem I've had is actually the people around me that should be supporting me. That is the biggest test I've had, which says it all. That's the problem.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
also,
I do feel that I mean, we are all being challenged by all this, but we are kind of looking in the mirror at ourselves, and we're realizing this. I mean, we're realizing that we're being divided, and that we're
yeah,
being pushed away, and slowly but surely, I think, as we start to go, oh. Yeah,
yeah,
look, we have been done. Slowly, we are slowly regrouping and realizing what's been done, so
yeah,
that it is making an impact.
Yeah, yeah. Go on.
Yeah, well, so I was just going to go on to the MP thing. So tell us about
Well, can I just
non-poll
make a
and
point? Can I just make a quick point?
no,
I
please
agree.
do. Yeah,
I agree. I agree with you on that. And the thing is, everybody, we don't all go at the same pace. We don't all learn at the same time. But I do think that the way I look at the freedom movement, for example, over the last 4 years, now that there's a lot of people that are in it that I've looked at that I've, you know, I mean, I'm not judge, jury, and executioner, but it's my opinion. Now, a lot of my opinions of people in this movement are not based on hearsay. They're based on first-hand information, what I've experienced from them personally. There are obviously, like anything else in life, this freedom movement, this situation in the last 4 years, it's going to attract people for the wrong reasons. People are going to come into it. They're going to latch onto it to feed their own ego. There's a lot of disingenuous people within it. And I've experienced that within BLFF as well, is the bigger that we've got and the more I've built the brand, the more I get a lot of people coming for the wrong reasons. They
yes,
use it to feed their own ego and stuff like that. But I'd say what we're doing is we're going through a process. I'd say that's why I've been at my lowest. When I've been at my lowest points in the last 4 years, it's not what the enemy are doing, it's what the frenemies are doing. And at times I've just looked and I thought, this is just a swamp.
yeah,
Like the very thing that I'm fighting for is just a swamp. But the thing is it's a process, Richard. And I honestly believe there's something will happen, is like will attract like. And I look at a lot of people in this movement and I know what they are, and I know they're not real, and I know they're fake, but I'm not going to go out and I'm not going to create the soap opera and the drama that they do for the clickbait, because that's not what I'm about.
right,
They do that and they damage this movement. They go online and they create drama and they create fuss and gossip and everything else. And I've just, you just have to trust in people, trust in people that it'll all work itself out. And a lot of the people that I'd looked at years ago and thought they're not right. Everybody's sort of seen it now. And what I believe is I'm actually now, my energy's going that way again. It's going up because I feel like there's a purification of this movement. We've had to go through a process where we all came together as a collective out of desperation, and nobody knew anything about each other. But over time, you build relationships. That's why I've run myself into the ground, running all over the UK constantly, because I believe that we need a UK-wide network. We need to be cohesive. We can't be divided. We can't be shut off. And that's why I've done it. And I feel like now there's a purification of this movement. I know now who I can go to, who I can rely on. I know who I can trust. I know who the solid people are, and I know who to leave alone. But that takes time. So
yeah,
I'd say we've been through a real soap opera. I'll call it Corona Nation Street, but I think that's coming to an end, mate. And I think
yes.
honestly, the serious players now are figuring this out. And if the serious players can come together and coexist, then we've got a chance. We've got a chance.
Yeah,
It's the
no,
only way.
I totally. I mean, I've not been in it that long myself, and already you start to see. You can sort of see the ones who are genuinely just working passionately because they know they need to. They've got to. It's in
Yeah.
them. And then there's the others that are tapping in on the side because they can see that there's a market there, and
Yeah.
all of that, or they're just a little bit sort of in it for the stardom and that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
so let's go to this MP business because, as you say, it's not something that you would ordinarily have done. We can see that we've got an election coming up, which is who is going to vote for more of the same. And if you vote for either of the two main parties, you are either voting for more of the same or extreme versions of more of the same.
Yeah.
So clearly the public are going to be thinking, what other choices are there? And it does seem lots of people are coming forward with that other choice, which is brilliant. So tell us about what you're doing with non-poll and Blackpool South.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, just on that point, you're absolutely right. Is that I don't hear anybody anymore. So, for so long we've been programmed. Again, this is why I stand with non-poll, because non-poll stands for non-political, and like you said, people will say, "How can you have a non-political political party?" What we've really the way I see it is it's the concept of politics as it is in its current state,
Mm.
left and right, red or blue. Is one if you you say that you're far left or you're central or you're conservative or you're right or you're far right. I'm red, I'm blue. Why do you vote Labour? Oh, because my dad always voted Labour. Well, what
Yes.
sort of reason is that? All you're doing is you're boxing yourself in, you're labeling yourself, and then allowing yourself to be boxed into a limited belief system where there's the views and opinions and ideas on the other side. Well, I can't support that because I'm over here.
Mm.
Same in the other way around. So I've looked at this for a while, and I've done 3 events for Students Against Tyranny, and I didn't know what I was walking into the first time round, and it was most of the crowd there it was a large contingent of Antifa, um, and I've had and this is where I've sort of evolved as well, because a few years ago I didn't like Antifa. I'd class myself as conservative or right, you know. And now, the thing is I've stood up there 3 times. I've stood in front of a big crowd of Antifa members. They've shouted all sorts of abuse at me. But the thing is, Richard, the positive thing is, on a one-to-one basis, when I've actually had a conversation with them, turns out, obviously, within any demographic, there's the unhinged, there's the lunatics, even within
Yes.
our movement.
Yes.
Right. So this is the thing: is it's this tribal mentality. I don't necessarily just stand shoulder to shoulder with everybody who claims to be part of my side or my movement, the freedom movement, because there's a lot of people within our movement I wouldn't give the time of day to. There's
Right.
some good people there. There's some people I've spoke to that have been within the Antifa crowd that I've had great one-to-ones with. Now, honestly, overwhelmingly the conversations I've had one-to-one with Antifa members it's been really positive. So this is where non-poll appeals to me, because it's not about left and right. It's just about looking at it. For example, I can obviously appreciate the value of capitalism. I grew up, but at the same time, look at the dangers of it as well. Capitalism now has morphed into a monster of
Mm.
globalists, and this is why we're at the point we're at, because people have too much money and too much power, and then look at what's happening. They're taking control of every aspect of our life. So, and at the same time, then people then with this extremity, then you get people go to the other side and say, well, we need to have communism. Well, what do you think that is?
Yes.
This over here is going to go the same way. It's going to end up like communism anyway. What's communism? I mean, you've got socialism, you've got Marxism, communism. Socialism can quite easily progress into communism. And so this is the thing: is I look at some of the values of socialism and I support them. Even so in terms of, if you look at the concepts of, like the concept of socialism or even communism, is a redistribution of wealth, make it fair. Now that in principle is okay, but if you've got 2 people and one of them gets up at 6 o'clock in the morning, one of them goes out to work 18 hours a day, 16 hours, builds a business, the other one stays in bed all day doing drugs or whatever it might be, why should they be entitled to equal amount? If
Mm.
you take the principle of capitalism away completely, then where's the incentive for anybody to get up out of bed and do anything? So then who's going to do it? The state are going to do it. And then you're going to be in, so then that's communism. So then you're going to be in the same mess you are,
Yes.
where you're going to be dependent on the state, your gyms, your butcher, everything, your food supply, everything's going to be controlled by the state. So so somebody's still got to be in control. And if somebody's in control, absolute power corrupts absolutely. So there's the principle of being more fair, in life. I don't believe we need anybody to be a billionaire or a multi-billionaire, because look at where that's led us to, because then you get people monopolizing everything and taking control of everything, and the power goes to the heads, and we end up where we are now. And it's saying, so I'd say I look across the board. I look at principles of communism, socialism, conservatism, capitalism, and I'm not going to box myself in left or right. So that's why
Mm.
this appeals to me, is because I'll just take the best of all of it and merge it into the best way forward for humanity.
And most people are like that anyway. I mean, most people are not so extreme on one, to the
Yeah,
advent, to the far of any of these things. Whether somebody's going, no, it's all capitalism is all about making as much money as possible and sod everybody else.
yeah,
And most people are not about let everybody just have a free life and
yeah,
share everything, because there's so many good things of both sides of that. But let's not go to the nth degree. You can set up a little business and perhaps one or two businesses that employ people and help people in the town, but you don't necessarily need to have that business doing like some of these big supermarkets where they strip out everybody else's business.
Yeah.
And some people don't want to be entrepreneurs, and some people just enjoy working for friendly entrepreneurs who've got a good, wholesome attitude to life.
Yeah.
So, but we are led to believe from these different parties that it's, this is what we stand for. And if you don't stand for that, you must be on the other side. And you go, well, some of that I stand for and some of that I stand for. So I think a lot of people do feel politically homeless with these two rather ridiculous parties.
And that's where maybe non-poll might be useful to some people. Now, I'd just say this, with regards to Labour Conservative, nobody's buying this anymore. It's two cheeks of the same ass, mate. Yes. Nobody's buying it anymore. There is a desire for something genuinely different. So I'd say what Jonathan Tilt's doing with the Vote Freedom Project, his way forward. I think he founded the Freedom Alliance, which was an alternative political party. Catherine Evans is now in charge of that. I support Catherine. I support the Freedom Alliance. I support Jonathan Tilt. I support his concept of supporting independent candidates because, but at the same time, then Debbie Hicks as well, I have to give her a shout out. She's brilliant. She's running now in Swindon. I don't want to tell you whether it's south or north, and get Debbie's brilliant. And the feedback, what she's saying is there's a genuine appetite for change on the street. She was out at the weekend. I think Jonathan's saying the same. I think we're feeling this. So, nobody's interested in Labour or Conservative anymore. The problem that we've got, like, let's say I've got as a non-poll candidate, is not reaching the people. It's not getting them to agree with me or me to agree with them or connecting with the public.
Yes.
It's 70% of the electorate don't vote. Now, if you ask the vast majority of them why, they'd say, well, what's the point? They're all the same. And up till this point, they'd be right. But the severity of the situation in the last 4 years has forced people like me, right, to actually step forward. Like you said before, like, did you ever see yourself doing this? This is not a dream for me. This is not an ambition. I'm doing this because I have to do it, because if I don't, who will? And if anybody can show me a more feasible way of getting out of this mess than what I'm doing, then I'm all for it. I'm all ears. So the problem is, like I said, you ask the vast majority of the 70%, why don't you vote? They say, well, they're all the same. They'd also say, well, what does my vote matter? I'm just one person. That is actually true. But what they don't realize is a collective or as a cohesive, they are the silent majority. All of those 70%, all of those people that get up every day and are pissed off with life and pissed off with the way things are and pissed off with the government, right? They're pissed off and they complain. They are the silent majority. We could, when we talk about an overnight solution, it's there within the 70% of the electorate that don't bother to get up on voting day and go out and vote. And why? Because of these reasons. But the thing is, let's just say let's say they had something, an alternative that they actually genuinely believe in, that they can feel, that is real. That would be an overnight fix. The thing is, Richard, how do I, as a non-poll candidate, or Debbie as an independent, or Jonathan as an independent, or Catherine as the Freedom Alliance, any alternative to the establishment, how do we get that 70% or just a percentage of them off their arse on polling day and get them out and vote? So I'd say, even if you're not going to vote for anyone, don't just not vote. Go and spoil your vote. Go and get your vote and write, I do not consent all over it, because your silence, I think, is classed as consent. It's kind of like if you're in an abusive relationship and you're getting beaten from pillar to post every day and you don't stand up and say anything, they'll say, well, we'll carry on then. So, but nobody cares. I mean, who cares about Labour or Conservative or any mainstream party anymore, really, to be honest. And by the way, non-poll stances, we don't want to start a slinging match. We don't want to get drawn into the mudslinging. I mean, there's a lot of things I could say on a lot of politicians, but I don't really want to get into that. What we want to really do is kind of rise above it a little bit. I mean, I've got to point out the fact that, like, Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak are owned and controlled by the World Economic Forum, and they have some sinister plans for us all. but I don't want to get into a slinging match because PMQs on a Wednesday afternoon is the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen in my life. These are supposed to be the cream of the creme de la creme of our nation that are
Mm.
leading this nation. It's embarrassing. So, with non-poll, this is what we try. We try and rise above it. We're the same way my experience within the freedom movement in the last 4 years is, even though I see all this soap opera and this drama and everything going on around, all this noise and this distraction and this division, I just keep my head down and get on with what I'm doing. And as
Yes.
long as, because the thing is if you've actually got solutions and you've got ideas, why don't you focus on that? I think a lot of these politicians don't have any of them. All they have is a
No.
bunch of excuses, and they just want to run away and not and just avoid questions. And the longer that they project this puppet show where they throw mud at each other, what is that solving for our country? It's not solving anything, is it?
I've always never quite understood the whole politics of telling your potential voters that the other side is rubbish and all of that. And I've never understood why they don't just say, this is what we're going to do, and be innovative, be creative,
Yeah,
think outside the box, so people go, blimey, at last somebody's actually got some real ideas, and it's not just denigrating the other side as if, well, if we can just get rid of them, then we get in by default. Who wants anybody in by default? They want people who are charismatic, who've got brilliant ideas, who are thinking outside the box, as I say, and doing things differently and new, because that's what, people love that type of thing, and it is inspiring. And I
yeah,
think, if I hadn't been voting for ages, and there were people just saying, look, we're going to do things bloody differently, and look, see how many independents there are, and all of these, those old dinosaurs, they're just now bones in the graveyard. They're
yeah,
not coming back.
yeah, definitely. And that's the thing is, like I'd say regarding that is, anybody that's watching this, go to the website, go to nonpoll.com, I think it is. I should know this.
Yeah,
Nonpoll.com on
I'll look it up and put it in
look
the
at I
in the
should know this.
description.
I mean, good God. Is it nonpoll.com? Yeah, nonpoll, POL, it stands for nonpolitical.com. And have a look at, because what you've just said there is there's things on the websites about moving forward. It's like solution based things. Um, and there's lots of, now that I have to say this is the reason why I chose to stand with non-poll is because, with regards to the founder Neil O'Neill, like I said, the initial meeting I had with him came purely by chance, and it came from Joey. I just have to give a mention to Joey Youssef, who's one of our team, one of my team, with British Lions for Freedom. Um, he's kind of like my right hand man, and he's been brilliant. He's got a newborn baby, he's got a missus, he's got a dog. I have to say, a dog that he thought was going to die a few days ago. He's in the middle of moving, trying to find somewhere to live because he's got nowhere to live, and still yet, despite all that, he's there for me, and he's anything I need, he's there. And so I have to say that people like him, people like Joey, he's probably the best person I've had around me, since I created BLFF. So I've got to give him a shout out. It's people like this that need support and appreciation. But the thing is, so he put me in contact with Neil. His connection with Neil came purely by chance. So, like I said, Neil wasn't pushed on me by anybody. He didn't come from anywhere, So we went and had an initial meeting in Redditch. Neil put a lot of his ideas and points across, and then I went away, and then we had a follow up meeting a few months down the line, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to do it. The reason why I chose non-poll, first of all, like I said, a lot of the core principles I agree with. Me and Neil are on the same page with the major things. We're opposed to the WEF, we're opposed to the WHO, we're opposed to the UN Agenda 2030. We both want free speech and also to protect the individual's rights and things like that. So we're on the same page with the key things. We're never going to agree on every little thing. And I see it throughout society, throughout this movement is, people fall out over the silliest things. me and Neil, we might not agree on every little thing. And the thing is, though, is we challenge each other. Is he has his views on certain things, I have mine. Like, for example, AI and technology and stuff like that. But I'll put my point across. He listens, and I listen. He listens to me. I listen to him. And I'm not. This is the thing, is with non-pole, is there's no control there. I will. I get to do, and I will do whatever I want to a degree. Because the thing is, obviously, like, it's Neil's party, and obviously he needs people in there that, you can't just have anyone going around doing all sorts of like counterproductive things. So it's
Yes.
about finding the right people. But at the same time, like I said, I think obviously, we work well together, but like at the end of the day is, from the meetings that we've had is, yeah, I'll never be corrupted. I'll never be corrupted or controlled, in that way. So, and that's why non-pole suits me, as opposed to me standing for somebody else, where that might actually be the case.
And I've just got your website up, actually, the non-poll website rather,
Yeah.
so that you can see. There we are. Look, Damon Sharp is standing at the Blackpool South election, and actually, what happens if I click on that? There we go. So people can find out all about it, and what you're doing, and come in to support,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. And also, whilst I'm putting up websites, here is your British Lions for Freedom website for
Mm-hmm.
people to get involved.
Yeah,
So
that's www.britishlinesforfreedom.com.
I'll
You
put the
won't.
links in the description.
Yeah, thank you, mate. You won't find that on Google, though, obviously.
No, yeah,
Use
just follow.
DuckDuckGo. Use DuckDuckGo, guys.
There we go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, you're very, very busy at the moment. Then, with all these things going on, tell us just to round up our interview. You've got the event going on the 27th. What would you like people to do?
Turn up.
Turn up in the city centre.
Yeah, it's at the Clock Tower. It's at 1 p.m. So, like, the thing is, like I said, with the amount of detail that I put into this, certain people who will remain nameless for now, they tell me, or she tells me, friends of mine that are very, very good at events and things like that. So they say, they use the term KISS, which is keep it simple, stupid.
Yes,
But I'm like, no, that's not my style.
that's
So,
not your style.
and it does create a lot of problems. So obviously, the more detail that we put into an event, the more stress it is for me, and the more anxiety
Yes.
that I have. But we honestly, like, myself, um, Merv, from the tribe of Leicestershire, both teams are working, exceptionally hard. These events are very difficult. I probably start, like I said, I probably start to plan them 3 months in advance, and I could spend a lot of the time just sat there thinking,
Mm.
thinking of every little detail of it. It's not easy. Um, so, we're working hard to create a real, a memorable day, and that's really important for me. So yeah, just say, if you can be there, um, come along. We've got a great lineup. Andrew Bridgen will be there. Fiona Rose Diamond, Debbie Hicks will be there. Dr. David Cartland, Dr. Tet Kong, Dr. Adil, Jasmine. I better not forget anybody now, otherwise I'm so.
That is the
Um,
trouble. Once
oh
you
yeah,
start a list.
Matt Hoy's going to be playing live music. We're going to have street theatre. We're going to have choreography. We're going to be running. We're going to have the cage. You might not have seen that, Richard, but we've actually
No.
got, yeah, we've got a 2 by 2 meter cage, which is 2.3 meters high, and it's quite an expensive one. So we've got a cage. So we run themes. So we have prisoners in orange jumpsuits. Sometimes they play the role of Bill Gates and Matt Hancock and people like that, so they have the face masks on.
Fantastic.
We have I'd say, riot officers slash marshals who are dressed in full tactical kit, tactical vests, helmets, everything. We kind of look like, the backing dancers of Janet Jackson on Rhythm Nation. But on the tactical vests and all of the stuff, it says NWO Weapon Enforcement Officer on it. So with the prisoners, when they're Bill Gates and when they've got the face masks on, obviously the patches get ripped off, and we put BLFF, which is British Lines for Freedom, BLFF Freedom Enforcement Division on it, which the abbreviation for that, Richard, is Feds. So the Feds are there. So we try and make it an entertaining day.
It sounds fun.
Flares, confetti cannons, music, choreography, street theatre, speakers, everything.
There you go.
Yeah.
1 p.m. at the Clock Tower in Leicester on the 27th, Saturday the 27th.
Saturday the 27th. Yeah.
April.
I'll be out from about 6 o'clock setting up. The setup is massive. It's big, honestly. Yeah. So. Yeah, like I said, it might be a bit of traveling for people, but I mean, me personally, I'm used to. I could live on a coach these days, so it might be a bit of traveling, but all being well, we're going to put on a real show for people, and if nothing else, just come and have a good day, and come and we're looking forward to seeing everybody there, and then from there, we'll look at maybe doing a couple more events later in the year.
Fantastic. Damon, thank you so much for coming on the show and telling us all about it, and good luck with the MP running and all of that.
Thank you, mate.
But most important, the Saturday 27th, bung it in your diary. If you're anywhere near the Midlands or you want a good day out, travel around, it's a lovely place. So go and check it out, and meet Damon and say hello and say the Vobe sent you. Which will be good.
Definitely, yeah.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Well, keep going. Keep up the good work. I think we're all making a change.
Yeah. You too, Richard. You too.
This is going to be an amazing year for revelations and turning heads and turning minds.
Yeah.
Which I think is very important. And you're instrumental in all of that.
Which is brilliant. As are you. As we discussed earlier, at the end of the day is... like we're all doing different things, but what you do, as I said to you before we came on live, is that you're so valuable, Richard, with what you do. You're the alternative media, and like I said, the thing is when I initially set out doing outreach in 2020, 2021, when I started going out on the streets, one of the primary objectives was to destroy the trust in the establishment and in the media. And once you've destroyed it, you can't just take down a system unless you replace it with something else. So the media are dead. The mainstream media, they're dying. They're dying a slow, painful death. Nobody trusts them anymore. Nobody cares. And that is credit to everybody that's been out there with the yellow boards on outreach, with everything,
Absolutely.
All of the messaging that's been spread. Any action taken is valuable. So the thing is then it's people like yourself, Richard. We're just about to look at putting alternative media on the Freedom Front UK website and the British Lines for Freedom website. Because that, like I said, it's where I can't do what you do. So we credit to you, Richard. We need people like you. You are the future of media. You're the alternative. You're the alternative to the corruption and to the corrupt. So well done, mate. Honestly, and the style and the way that you do it is very good.
And I think it would be lovely to see a lot more and more younger people on the pulse with it, But in the meantime, we're all doing what is needed, and it's funny, we've all got different and individual amazing skills. And as we said before, what an amazing time to be alive, because we can use those skills in whatever way for the greater good.
Yeah, as I say, I actually look at it as a privilege now. I feel like everything that's got me to this point in life, all of the skills that I've acquired, whether it be through bodybuilding, whether it be through, all of the experiences through life, some tough experiences when I was a kid, living in an abusive environment, everything, making me stubborn, making me resilient in the term, everything has come to this point where what a privilege now. I get to use it, but I don't just use it for myself in the gym, building myself up. I actually get to take on one of the biggest challenges, one of the biggest fights in the history of this world. So I actually look at it as a privilege, and I'm all up for it, man.
Yeah.
So are you going to come on? I mean, you might not be able to say it, you might be busy, but it'd be good to see you there on the 27th, Richard. And
it would be lovely to see. I have it's a Saturday, so who knows? Yeah. The trouble at the moment is I'm from my diary goes from one day to the next, and people trying to get on the show, and it's like squeezing them. So I don't know, but I'm happy to support as remotely as possible. And if you've got footage from the thing and you want to compilate it and send it in, I'll put it out and remind people what we're doing. So more than
Yeah,
happy to do all of that.
yeah. Again, talking about media, we're hoping to have as much media there as possible. So, for example, with the choreography and everything, I can't do everything. Anybody like
No,
I mean, I know there's going to be some independent media going to come and cover it. So the more cameras we've got, the more coverage we've got, the better. So yeah,
absolutely.
but I'll send
Cause a
anything
stir.
over to you, Richard. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And if you do come along, get in a cage and we'll have a photograph taken inside the cage.
They can throw things at me. Why not?
Yeah, yeah.
Be a
Well, yeah,
laugh.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Brilliant stuff.
Right.
Damon, thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure, mate. Top man.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Do turn up if you can. If not, go to the website, support as much as you can, and vote for Damon. Of course, if you're in the constituency, and all that, and as much support as you can. I'll be back with more monologues and more wonderful guests. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching. From Damon and myself, take care. Bye for now.